We took our years we time.
What were you doing?
Oh, but say I got expired tax, which is not right, but when he ran them, it came back, they're 9 months past. You might wanna get that taken care of. I'm just gonna give you a warning this time, but, 6 months in total. Okay, tough. Came back together, you wouldn't be giving me a break.
He's the one I usually have trouble picking up. Everybody else is okay. He talks way too low. So I gotta put it closer to him. I'm hoping that'll, once I get that code in now.
And there's a pesky fly in here today.
There's a couple of them.
Yeah, it's flying, it just bugging and bugging. Yeah, right there.
So you did.
Oh, he's not gonna be here, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I found that out a couple hours ago.
Same way we probably did.
Yeah.
You did financials last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think Michael still has my folder maybe. Or no, I may have it at home. They are gone. Anyways, here's whoever's next turn it is. I guess it's gonna be.
So I guess it goes back to Michael. Cause that, no, yeah, cause that, it's Jason, me, Michael.
However you guys wanna do it.
I don't care.
You wanna take it or just?
I'll
So
just take
it
it.
should go,
Later in the month?
Michael
I'll take
should
it,
be
he can
the-
do it twice.
Okay.
He can do it in
Okay.
December. and
Whatever you wanna do.
He should
I'll
be,
take that back.
okay. So 6:30, we'll call the meeting to order.
Alright, hello, welcome. So review of minutes from October. Meeting was called to order 6:32 p.m. Attendees were myself, Board President Michael Napoli, Board members Jason Clark, Jennifer Smith, Greensboro Police Department, Chris Pickens, and Officer Steve, I didn't put his last name, Connie Rittberger, Misty Clark, and Liz Ruenberg. Minutes from September 2024 meeting, monthly meeting and budget meeting were read and approved by the board. Open issues or ordinances, updates, lawyer contracting, painting lines at stop signs, safe deposit box, underground railroad sign, and rental of the back lot at community building. Updates discussed on the outstanding items were, safety deposit box has a drill out fee of $200. I suggested waiting until 2025 since this year's fees have already been paid. If we decide to go ahead and cancel that and pay the fee. The Historical Society of Indiana sent instructions on how to restore the Underground Railroad sign. They don't provide the materials, which is paint, but Kara Curtis volunteered to complete this project. She was gonna purchase the paint and do the work. The bank accounts, debit cards, prepaid master Visa cards have a lot of fees associated with those. We were discussing that to replace the debit cards for Jason. The board advised Jason should use his debit card to finish the mowing for 2024, and then his debit card will be canceled and replaced with a speed cash card for 2025. New business discussed was the budget approval. The DLGF will likely reduce the appropriation amounts that we requested. The police department submitted a reduced budget that was closer to the amounts approved for the previous year for the board to review and approve. Internal controls, SBOA provided examples to Pickens of towns that lacked internal controls and issues that had arisen due to this lack of policy. Jennifer asked that the board's monthly review of account transactions and balances is in internal controls. I advise it is part of it, but there's more that's required regarding policies being put in writing and verification that the policies are followed. I was gonna start drawing up those documents for board review and approval. Roads and streets, stop sign at the four-way of Greensboro Pike and High Street. Police want to do something about the stop sign there. We discussed mounting a sign on the pole is too far from the road. Jason suggested a bigger sign could be purchased and added to for better visibility. Other options discussed were a sign with blinking lights, but there's power access issues there. We talked about possibly a solar powered sign with lights, reflected spinners, rubble strips. Ultimately, there was no decision made. Jason suggested a speed limit sign needed going west out of town and asked if the speed trailer could be placed in this area. Michael suggested adding town-wide to all the speed limit signs. Jason asked where the speed limit increase starts when going out of town. Is it the town limit or after the sign that indicates the limit? Discussion indicated that the limit increases at the point of the speed limit sign. Police department wants to get stop lines painted by the end of October. Police department reported their monthly stats. Trunk or treat is scheduled for October 26th, and the Greensboro Fire Department was going to be involved in that also. Townwide trick or treat was slated for October 31st from 6 to 8. Community concerns, Liz requested GPD not go around the back of the post office to complete their business check. Jason observed a young male walking around town very late at night or early morning and entering private property. Misty asked for the balance of the park non-reverting fund balance, which was $1,059.52 at that time. Misty asked what needs to be done to make the walking path better. We discussed renting a roller, adding additional material if we do more paving and have more millings to put down, and also discussion about using heat and products to seal the path as well. The community building, police department was going to replace the lights in the bathrooms. Memorial trees in the back lot. Connie has said she had a box of papers containing zoning information, but didn't think it had any information about the trees. Jason had determined that only 1 or 2 trees out there were still viable. That would need to be removed if we move forward with the proposal for basically renting that out. Any of the others are already dead and dying. I posted in the Greensboro Gabber for anyone to contact Jason or Michael about the memorial trees by the November monthly meeting. Michael is making signs for the entry doors in the pantry. I had received a letter from a lawyer last month and ultimately found out that it didn't even concern Greensboro, so it was null and void. I received an email regarding zoning and planning district partnering with Newcastle, and Michael was supposed to research that. I asked if we were going to continue with Kaiser for the 2025 paving grant, because we paid them to complete paperwork and information for 2024, but there was never any action from them, and I hadn't been able to talk to them or get a hold of them. Michael said he had spoken with them and they will come into a meeting soon. I posted in the Greensboro Gabber for bids on snow plowing the day after the meeting, and that's pretty much all I've got for the last meeting. You want to move into updates on any of that stuff?
Well, Michael's not here.
So, we don't know anything about the zoning. I think he got the letters put out on the pantry. So, let's go in order here. The Historical Society sign, Kara and Beth Pribble are working on that together, and
They've started that.
yeah, they did start it, but they're still working on it. Bank account, both debit cards are canceled now. So when and if he needs money from Owen, then we'll just get that speedy card, or do reimbursement or whatever we need to do. I haven't heard anything back on the budget yet. I don't have, I haven't got anything drawn up for internal controls yet. Keep looking for examples and can't find anything, so I guess I'll just have to make it up kind of on my own. I did wanna ask that you guys please sign the financial paperwork each month when you do it, just on, I don't care if it's the bank statement page or just one of the pages, so we've got documented who reviewed it for that month. And when I get that drawn up, I'll put that in there. I don't think anything's been done about the street signs or painting. We did trunk or treat. I wasn't here, but I heard it went well. I'll let you talk about any updates as far as the trees and that goes. I didn't get any information, I didn't get any bids. I don't know if Michael did. If he did, he didn't say anything to me about it. So I'll have to, I guess, put feelers out again for the snow plowing bids.
I know he talked to them at the barber shop and told
They
them
were-
that we were taking bids.
Yeah, they were going to get a bid submitted, cause he owns the snow plowing business too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
He said that everything.
Well, whatever updates you guys have in new business.
As far as for the lot out back, I had no one reach out to me at all, with any information, any questions or anything about, the trees. My only concern is that, we have to give amount of time for the public to be able to respond. They went through and he's already put a brand new fence up. I don't know if he's willing to still do it or not now. If so, great. If not, well, we missed the boat, but it is what it is. I wasn't going to just say yes without trying to get some feedback from, the community, because that just wouldn't have been right. So I will reach out to him, because we put today as the deadline.
Right.
I'll try to reach out to maybe him tomorrow and see if it is something he's still interested in, and go from there. We really have not sat down and talked any dollar amounts, but for the trade-off, the town will be doing better than he is. But, yeah, by a lot. But he needs it to feed his cattle. So he's willing to take the loss there, so he's not having to buy this stuff, because, hay's expensive, and when you can grow it yourself, it's a lot cheaper. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I was really hoping somebody could come up and give me names or anything, because I do want the trees that are removed, that were a memorial tree, I do want to replant them. Some sort of tree, just because I think that's the respectful thing to do. We've got that whole side of the field over here anyway, between the walking path and his hay field. We don't have to put great big, huge trees there, but just something, I feel like that's the respectful thing to do. So, if anybody does hear anything or knows anybody that had a memorial tree, please reach out to me. Because if we do go through with this, I do want to, honor the people's memories that they were put in for.
This will be behind the walking trail, right? Is that what
Yes,
you're talking
yes,
behind
yes.
it?
Like from where that little bitty maple is, that's kind of right there along the edge of the walking trail, from there back.
We did find some little red placards.
I found bits and pieces, but I never could find.
Two of them?
Yeah, there was a box that had some,
Yeah.
Oh, you found them inside, I thought you found out there.
No, and we found them in the office,
yeah,
in a file cabinet, so we moved them to back
Okay.
here, but there's two little red placards.
I wish we could find a piece of
Make
cardboard.
anything out on it?
Yeah.
On the two flaggers, yeah, there's names
You
on
wanna
it.
go
Like
grab
who
them?
they are.
Yeah, there's,
I would imagine though, there's probably trees that
I
have
think it's still unlocked.
been destroyed
I
or
think I
something. If
I
we
would
have
think-
the plaques in here, I would
Because-
imagine the tree's not out.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Michael, I thought he said it was approximately 20 to 25 years ago when they done it. I'm sure there's been trees, because I mean, we get trees that break down every year. You know, I had to take the one down there by the shed because it broke in half.
Yeah.
I like that tree, but
There's always Arbor Day that
Yeah.
give trees,
And-
and there's something in Newcastle.
And I have an associate that comes into work who, that's his job, is he plants trees, that's what he does for a living.
Mhm.
He planted between my house and the neighbor behind me, 300 trees, for absolutely free.
Yeah.
He had to put them somewhere, and he's like, you got some land I can put them on? I said, yeah, go for it, and he went back there and, you know, planted them. Now, if they grow, they grow, if they don't, they don't, he doesn't really care, but he has to put them in the ground.
Yeah.
You know, and he doesn't want to waste them. So I'm sure I could reach out to him and he would, you know, give us a good shade style tree that might be mid-growth. Cause that's, you know, that's what he does. He's from Knightstown, and if I didn't mention that I knew him, I could tell you his name, but now I couldn't tell you his name.
How about a pear tree?
Oh, I'd live under it.
What
It would be awesome to have some fruit
Fruit
trees.
trees, I think so
We
too.
could actually get them to
I
bear some
agree.
fruit.
I want fruit trees.
I do know Randy Black.
I don't know.
I know Randy Black, right, I do Randy Black.
Well, there's a couple of
Yeah.
names there for you.
But yeah, and a lot of, what I found in most of the cases out there was the way they had these set up. Well, that was great when the tree was little,
Oh,
Yeah.
grew around.
but as it
or-
grew,
Well,
I didn't-
busted that.
I didn't find the chains, but I found these all shattered
Yeah.
from where it just exploded, you know, over time.
Well,
Um,
the sun maybe
And, you know, that's,
got broke.
call me a softie or whatever, but I kind of, you know, I feel like that if somebody's done this, you should honor their wishes and their memories on something like that. That's just me.
So does Randy Black have any family here in town?
I know some of his, I know he's got a son, I don't know where he's at now. But if anybody would know, I bet Michael would know how to get a hold of him. Cause Don Sloan, I think he was married to Angie. I think is who Randy was married to. Sloan Electric, was outside of town here.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of work in the town, you know, used to run the racetrack. That's how I know Randy's through the racetrack. So, I mean, I'm sure there's people I can reach out to that will know, you know. But
Which Greensboro has had a lot of Daltons. I don't know, James and Elizabeth Dalton, anybody know who?
Is that Roxy's family?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of Daltons that have been here.
as I say, Misty may reach out to, Roxy and
And see.
see. But, and that's kind of really where we're at on that. I just gotta get with him, see if I can set up some kind of meeting time that we can sit down and go over numbers and see if he's still interested. My proposal was, what I was wanting to propose to him was for him to make an investment into the park, into a playground set, and we'll sign off on the lease deal. Cause I don't know if I had told everybody, we're leasing it to him we're going to pay him $1 a year maintenance. And then we were still discussing the dollar amount. We threw out a random number and he says, this is not set in stone, we can go higher. So I'm gonna try to get what I can. But, you know, I was going to approach him with a swing set, or not just a swing set, but a child playground area, a large one. and see if he would be willing to make that kind of investment for a 10-year contract or a 20-year contract. I'm pretty confident that he's gonna take better care of it than I can mowing it. I mean, this guy doesn't do anything halfway. Everything's, anybody that knows the farm outside of town remembers what it used to look like. Well, it kind of speaks for itself now.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
You know, from where it used to be to what it looks like now, and people wouldn't believe it was the same place. So,
I can't think of his name.
Joe Peacock.
No, the guy that lived there before.
Oh, I can't remember him. I knew him, I'd met him a few times, but I couldn't say I knew him. But that's kind of where we're at. I'm gonna reach out to Joe and see if he's still interested. You know, cause that's a pretty good chunk of money right there in that fence he just put up.
He does a lot of things for.
He does, Joe, he's an exceptional, a lot of people don't like Joe because Joe's kind of a scruff, rugged, you know, just kind of, but he has got the biggest heart of anybody I know. And he's done quite well for himself, and he doesn't like people to know what all he does do, but he does a lot.
So, is it fair to say, to summarize, that we're gonna move forward with this plan, as long as he's still willing?
Yes.
The trees will come down, but there'll be replacements planted. But we just still don't have the details of how much he's gonna be willing to do and exactly what the contract is.
Yes.
And maybe if he's, not willing to do it anymore, maybe we can find someone else
Yeah.
who would be willing.
The biggest problem that we have, where it was so convenient for him, was it
Yeah.
butted right up to his
Yes,
field.
yeah.
You know, and I think the fence answered the question on how would we keep people out of it. Well, put a fence up.
Well, he's on the post up.
No, he's got the fence up.
You don't know.
Yeah, that's fence there. Don't go over and touch it.
He didn't go this way, right?
Yeah, he didn't go this way, that's what I meant.
No, he's all the way down the property line. this way.
Right, that one.
Yeah, but he didn't come back and
Posted
go.
that
Yeah.
is it posted that it's on, that it's live?
Well, I don't know if it's live or not. That's why I said he
okay.
could go touch it.
Oh, okay, because my son takes his daughter back here, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's gotta be posted, because she will totally crap
Yeah.
anything and everything.
And yeah, I don't know, but I didn't touch it to find out. I've been there.
Don't dog dare that.
Yeah, like a 9-year-old better.
Yeah. Try to tell me that. I remember when I was a
He
kid.
walks her back.
Go ahead, that's right there.
And he plays in our backyard.
We got any other updates on outstanding topics? I was told that you and Michael met with Morlock, Chris.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna go over all of that, but I wanted to give the opportunity for everybody else to, if they wanted to speak or whatever. Some people don't like hanging out for the whole entire meeting, so I want people that have
Do you
to
have any
hang out
business?
longer than they really want to.
Yeah, I've got new business, I don't know. if anyone else has.
I would like to, bring up one more point. If there's anybody that would be willing to help somebody that's sitting pretty close to me, she's been down at the graveyard cleaning, and
She can't hurt her son.
I
I
didn't
We're
do anything.
walking
I-
one day.
Yeah, I didn't do anything much, I picked up a couple sticks, but Isaiah did a lot.
I took my youngest son down there the other day, and he looked at me and said, we need to do something. Any help at all would be appreciated.
Isaiah wants to help, but Tom's gotta bring a chainsaw home for him to, they're talking about cutting up those trees up,
That,
wants to do-
just cleaning up, you
just
know.
cleaning up.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that knows, and I'm sure there's someplace somewhere, because there's a lot of missing markers and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what bothered Wyatt so much, was the missing markers, cause he knows some of these people were, they're war veterans.
Yes,
And
that's what got me.
he thinks that they should have something there.
Mhm.
And I don't know what it is yet. I'm thinking about talking to somebody about maybe making steel crosses, if nothing else.
That would be awesome.
And putting them in the ground, that way they don't maybe deteriorate quite as fast and all that.
Yeah, there's a lot that
Yeah,
have fallen
but
over.
if we can get a list, and I don't know if there's someplace we can get a hold of a graveyard,
Yes,
registry or whatever it would be called, I don't even know.
Person,
Yes.
resource for that stuff?
and, I can't think of her name,
Beth Ribble,
yes,
and then that dream, Kara Curtis, she goes by like Kara Dreamcatcher Curtis or something on Facebook. She does all of that stuff too, she might be somebody to reach out to as well.
Did you say there's some of them are veterans?
oh, yes.
Or sure
Someone
something.
goes up there and puts flags out
So
there.
didn't sometimes the VFW?
They're supposed to,
They might have
Take care by the
resources for
county?
workers and stuff.
That's trustee is in charge of
Veterans?
graveyards.
So how about-
Well,
yeah, the
Go ahead.
US government is supposed to take care of every veteran,
Handles the money, put it that way.
supposed to. Yes, and that's the key word, and I understand
Who
there's
knows it?
millions and millions of, graves. And some of them, nobody knows who.
I didn't know if the local.
Somebody has to go
Maybe
out there.
somebody.
I
Out
will,
of Newcastle.
yeah, I'll go down to the
He would
VFW.
definitely know that.
He
I don't
would
know,
on the page.
I don't know
We
who's
used
charged
to
down
go
there
out
now.
and trim the trees,
Oh, really?
Beth has a
especially
book.
on the path, the,
Yeah, and at some point, Michael was in charge of, he had a cemetery registry, something or other, and he was
Yeah.
doing something with that as
I
well.
thought he may be that he handles the other cemetery,
The
right?
Hickside, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if he does anything with that.
No, he doesn't do anything.
And that one over there, I mean, there's graves from early 1800s. And probably older because we can't even see the grave. There's nothing there anymore, but you know that great big spot, they didn't leave
You'll
it
find
open.
some holes over there.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
fill the divot, you can fill, you
Well,
fill the
but
earth.
you'll find some other fresh holes.
Oh, yeah.
I got mine.
Oh,
There,
yeah.
we've had to run a particular person away.
Did you fill them in?
No,
Okay, so I thought I saw.
somebody was, what was he looking for?
I don't
He's
know.
He
looking
said
for
that-
rocks.
No, he told us that somebody stole some gold from him.
He was trying to-
And he was trying to
He's
find his
looking-
gold.
He's looking for special rocks. That's what he told me. I told him I wanted to see his rocks, because I
Yeah,
like rocks.
yeah, he had some gold that was taken, and then there was,
It's at the post office
The
rock.
treasure,
there was some other strange, weird things that, yeah, and.
We need to pray for Joe.
You can't
We need
dig
to pray
in the
for him.
graveyard, that's illegal.
You can't dig in the graveyard, but what? Oh, I'm sorry.
Unless you have permission.
All
Yeah,
of
you can't dig there,
Huh?
there's a law
Oh, I'm
against
sorry.
Okay,
that was the only the other thing, if somebody just feels like helping her out. Now that it gets dark before we ever get home, it's gonna be
I
tougher
know,
for everybody,
yeah.
but
It's getting cooler.
we just kinda maybe keep that in
Yeah.
mind. Boy Scout crew, somebody's got kids or grandkids in Boy Scout, they need a volunteer day. Even if they're just out there picking up sticks, it counts for them.
has anybody actually reached out to the county on it? Because
I think Beth was gonna talk to
Dakota,
Dakota because, I was interested in cleaning up, and so she was gonna talk to him and see exactly, what could be done. Cause there's, you have to have special cleaners for the stones and
yeah.
all that stuff, so, yeah.
And there is certain rules and regulations you have to follow, and if you don't, then you're getting yourself into liability stuff too. And I don't want, and I know she doesn't, you don't wanna go in there and think you're doing something right, and find out that you didn't.
Yeah. There's so many headstones that are fallen over and
Leaning against
leaning the
trees.
wrong direction, and grass is growing up around it, you can't read it, and it's just really sad.
Yeah, and there's 2 or 3 different trees over there that has headstones leaning against the trees. Well, they came from someplace.
Yeah,
But-
and, I'm sorry, while I was cleaning over the hill where someone had dumped some stuff and set it on fire, I know now what a steel belted radial looks like. But I also found some cemetery, like a block, you know, that you would set your headstone on. Someone had thrown over the hill. And then I also found a headstone that's in the ground. And I didn't dig it out to, you know, but it's probably that high up off the ground. I showed it to her, so, and I didn't wanna, you know,
That's why I was
disturb
afraid
that.
she was gonna go over, so I'm like,
Yeah, but, and, you know, I was told that there's probably a lot of stones over that hill, which is another,
Well, you figure throughout years, as many different people has mowed it and stuff, and there's people that just don't care.
Yeah.
It fell over, it was in their way mowing, so they just grabbed it, chucked it into the woods.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's the way people looked at stuff. That's still to this day, some do, but, you know.
Did you have any other new business, Jennifer? Okay, so I had a few things. I did get, some money from the Tri-Kappa chapter in Knightstown. The presentation that I gave last month, they donated $500. And so I now have enough with what was raised at the Greensboro Pike Festival last year, and the money that I've been collecting through my work for volunteer hours with the Karen Crusaders. They've been holding that in a special account for us. I have enough to order swing set. It's a commercial product, equipment. I'm gonna order a 2-bay swing set, which will hold 4 swings. But one of the swings, I'm ordering an ADA swing for it to put on there. So, I put a check in there and, a paper for you guys to sign, just signing off that it's okay for me to transfer that money. I think it was 17?
17.
Yeah, okay. So that, like I said, that's basically what we raised at the Pike Festival, and then the 500 from the Tri-Kappa out of the donation fund. I'm gonna put it all together with the Karen Crusaders in that account, and then order it under Karen Crusaders because they have the 501c3. So that'll save us the tax. I'm gonna beg and, you know, bargain for somebody with a truck and trailer to go to Indianapolis to pick it up, so we don't have to pay shipping. And it'll be several weeks before it comes in, before that's needed. And then I'm gonna beg and look in the community for help to install it next spring. They give instructions on how to do it, and, you know, we'll have to purchase some concrete to put it in the ground with and stuff. So that's what that's about.
Is it metal or wood?
It's metal, similar to what was out there before. It'll probably be like the more modern stuff you see, that's not like the wide A-frame, it's more like an arch type thing. I'm still kind of narrowing that down because it was like, one was more expensive, but it cost more to ship, and then the other one was least, anyway, so I'm gonna do with what's most costly. Just FYI, first of the year, I've talked about this before, you have to start, you know, doing the video recording and everything, so that's why I've been doing that. I think I've, you know, pretty much got it down now. So I did start a YouTube channel for Town of Greensboro, where you can go and watch the meetings. So entertaining. So I've got the last couple of months on there. And, something else. Oh, paychecks are in there as well. If you guys wanna take your paychecks out. And I think that's pretty much, I was gonna ask, that you guys are still planning on, you had mentioned it at one time, about possibly getting your own insurance policy. Okay, I'll leave that for
Yep.
you to
So
discuss.
unfortunately, Chrissy, she's still researching, figuring out how to make it all happen, but it's supposed to happen at the first of the year.
Okay, I just wondered, since they had sent a renewal notice, if that was something that could be.
Yeah, I've been in contact with her, and I don't, unfortunately, getting a response sometimes is like pulling teeth.
Yeah, I know. I have that problem with them too. I think that's all I had. Do you wanna see if we've got community concerns? Anybody have?
Open up for anything, anybody?
I was wondering if there's anything we can do about, 120 burning stuff all the time, 120 South High.
What do they burn?
Out behind,
I don't know what they're burning because I'm not over there, but I smell it when I'm in my backyard, and it's toxic. So they're burning wires, I don't know what else, trash.
It'd be a fire department call.
Yes and no, I mean, there's laws
You smell it?
on what you
Yeah,
can and
it's
can't
like 2 doors
burn.
down, that's right by the church.
So,
oh, yeah, I know which house you're talking about now. They had a large pile of trash where they cleaned out that garage and stuff, and yeah, they just kind of burned it. 'Cause
And it blows right into our backyard.
oh yeah,
And I'm sure, I've seen a haze all through town sometimes.
because when it's coming, when the wind, yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
you're limited on what, by state law, you're limited on what you can burn.
And right now, they can't burn anything.
It was,
Yeah.
This morning they were talking,
with all the rain we got.
they thought there wasn't enough. That's what they were talking about.
It can still be contained in a.
You can burn in a container.
Yeah, but this wasn't contained, it was an open burn.
Is that something the fire department could do though, if she made a call to them?
If someone called,
They
Yes.
could
Oh my
go check
gosh.
it out and see if it's legal or.
We've called before, guys, like many times. And, I mean,
Ultimately, nothing can be done until we pass the ordinances. Once the ordinances hit, then we can enforce it, right? And then the town can cite them. Because it clearly says in the ordinances, you can only burn between certain hours. You can't burn after 6 PM. You can't burn rubber and just rubbish.
Right.
I mean,
right,
and the ordinances follow state law, so we haven't deviated from that, but you can look up the state law, what you can and can't burn. And it clearly says what you can, burn, and they shouldn't be burning anything other than that. Some people were burning old fence posts that were painted. Can't do that. I mean,
Prioritize.
yeah, there's a lot of things that you can't burn until you hold them accountable. But the problem is, we gotta pass these ordinances.
Is it not in the current ordinances?
Nope.
So you can't enforce state issues even
So,
though?
so with state, we can't enforce state because it's not something criminal for us. It's a different IC code. So that's where the fire department would say, nah, you can't do that, right? And then if there was to be, you wouldn't call it an infraction, but penalty, or if it was a penalty based, then the fire department would issue that penalty.
The fire marshal is that.
Yeah, I don't know how the fire department does this. But unfortunately, there's not
No.
something in the current.
Nothing.
I have to just sit out there and smell it. Okay.
I called it fly and I squished it in my hand.
Ew.
Dang.
Dan Danielson.
Yeah, I'm gonna use some chopsticks.
He said I might be old, but I'm still quick.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Any other community
Called him.
concerns?
Do we have new community?
Are you guys new to town?
We've been around, about 20 years.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
we've owned
owned a house down there for 20 years.
Not new at all.
We don't really live here,
Oh, okay.
We don't.
I was gonna say, you've been here, you were here
but a couple months ago.
a couple months ago when the meeting got canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. We found
Welcome
it.
back.
Well, thank you.
Um, I don't really know of anything else that we aren't trying to get taken care of. I've been talking to people, trying to get some grants, or talking to people that can do grant writing to try to get some sidewalks. Because there's a lot more younger families moving in, which is, I'm glad. That's one reason I'm so driven on the park. You know, in Shirley, we had a pretty decent park. Wilson, they had a pretty decent park. I spent a lot of time of my youth at the park. So, you know, I'm just trying to look for, and if anybody has suggestions,
If we
I
can
mean,
get
there's-
Kaiser, Keiser, it's Keiser. You know, if we can get them here to talk to us and be responsive, I'm betting that's something that they can help us with as well. I don't know for sure, but
we can't seem to get them.
yeah.
And that's why I'm reaching out to other people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Holly at Kenner Crusaders had told me that for bigger things like that, which I'm imagining that would be a pretty expensive project, that it, you know, that's kind of your go-to the professionals for. Smaller things she could help us with. We could, you know, apply to the Henry County Community Foundation. If we wanna approach her about that, and maybe we do it in small sections at a time, so we can utilize a local resource like that. Of course, these are all just suggestions, I don't know for sure. So we
Well,
have
I've
to
reached,
talk to
the
her
gentleman
about it.
I've reached out to, it's, the assistant prosecutor in Hancock County. So he knows some people that he thinks would be willing to help us at a better fee than Kaiser.
Oh, awesome.
Could they pave the path?
I don't know if I can get that done. I'm worried about a sidewalk.
It's what, like everything else, there's grants out there.
Yeah.
There
It's
are tons of
definitely-
grants out there, it's just the time and to put in for them, and,
The knowledge how to find them, that's the biggest thing, is finding them.
and then just because you put in for it doesn't mean you're gonna get it. So, you know, you gotta try again and again and again, or go for 3 or 4 different ones, and
And there's money literally setting out there, I mean, literally millions of dollars setting out there for small towns like Greensburg that no one knows about and no one ever gets.
Remember 2 years ago?
Yeah.
which we missed out on?
Yeah, and it's just because they're not going to set it in your face and tell you, hey, here it is. You have to come and find it. And it's difficult. They don't make it easy. I've spent a lot of time, which is my job. This, you know, I took this job on, so this is my job to do this. But I've spent a lot of time searching, trying to find these things. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not smart enough. I mean, you know, there comes a point where you can reach your maximum on what you understand and what you can do. And, I'm at the point now where I am having to find people that are better at this than I am. But if anybody has any ideas or resources or knows somebody they want me to talk to that might be able to help us, please let me know. I don't mind.
Are you talking about repairing old sidewalks or putting in new ones?
Most of them probably gonna have to have new ones.
Oh, so you're gonna repair sidewalks
If,
in
if,
town that are
if
like,
if they're repairable, absolutely, we would repair it. You know, because that's less fundage.
Mhm.
But if it's a case where, I mean, there's some of them, you know.
Yes, they're like
You walk down the
this.
sidewalk,
you can't take the stroller down
No.
the street.
you know, there's
Yeah.
some of them that it's nothing.
Yeah,
If at all possible, I'd like to get sidewalks all the way down to the edge of town, that way people could walk down to the post office and have a sidewalk, you know, it just,
down to.
maybe it doesn't really mean anything, you know, to anybody else, but it just makes the town look a little nicer. if you got nice sight.
I
It's just,
agree.
just the things that when you know, cause it's all visual.
Yeah,
And the flags, you know, that somebody put up, you know, those really,
I like that, yeah.
I do
Nice.
too. That was really appreciated.
It just takes people to
Mhm.
help do the work, a lot of it. We're so short-staffed and, you know, we all have full-time jobs, obviously, just like everybody else, and so we can only put so much time
Yeah.
into it. That's why we're always asking for volunteers.
Yeah.
I have a cousin that's on the Greenfields, town council. And he's like, man, I don't know what the problem is. I said, Thomas, how many people work underneath you? And he looked at me and said, what do you mean? I said, how many people work underneath you? This is Greenfield. He's just one member. He's got 7 people that work underneath him. I said, what do you have to do? You just basically go in and see what they've done and then you say yes or no. I said, you're not doing anything. I said, we don't have anybody that works underneath us. We're the bottom and the top. It doesn't get in between.
Yeah.
And, you know, for him, it's hard to imagine because his budget for just his little piece is $1.6 million. And beautification of Greenfield and entertainment. 1.6 million. Just so they can have the free concerts and stuff like that, which is a great thing, don't get me wrong. I'm glad they can. And the people around there appreciate it, because it's always packed. But I could not imagine even one-time access to that, what we can do.
Huge tax base.
Yes,
Huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even though the factories get their tax breaks, they still do pay their taxes.
Sure.
Everybody's like, oh, well,
All the restaurants.
everybody's like, well, the factories don't have to pay the taxes. Yes, they still pay taxes. They get a tax break, but they still pay their fair share.
Yeah.
Michael did say Kaiser was gonna, I always say that wrong, Kaiser was gonna give us a break, I guess, on our next, on the fee for the next go-round, since nothing happened this year. But,
To pave Back Street,
I'm sorry,
to pave Back Street,
yeah, or
Mill
whichever,
Street.
whichever street they decide, they have to do a survey, I think, to, you know, evaluate it all, figure it out.
And I still think Main Street, I mean, there's not that much traffic unless they turn down the wrong road, it's not that bad. That street needs it worse, and maybe School Street. Main Street between the two.
Yeah.
It's not terrible, it could use some patchwork, but not bad. But like down towards my house, it's not that bad. I mean, there's not huge potholes, just a couple little bitty things, but it's nothing too bad. The neighbors aren't complaining about it. And I know my neighbors, they yell at me.
And the sewer drain got fixed on Main Street, so, you know, that was a big safety and issue.
So, anybody have anything else? Christopher?
All right. All right, so for the month of October, we had 305 patrol hours, 70 and a half training hours, 54 admin hours, 5 special event hours, totaling 434 and a half total hours. There were 0 arrests. We had 34 traffic stops, of which only 2 tickets were written of the 34 and 32 warnings were given. 112 business checks, and we were dispatched on 11 runs. It was a busy month. This was a simple breakdown. I figured you wanted just you didn't need the whole list, but this was just a breakdown of the current status budget. Give you a chance to review that, or if you have any questions.
Does the leasing seem to be working out the way it needs to?
We need more. But, yeah, and I'm gonna actually touch on a little bit of that here in just a moment when I give you some more information.
I mean, there's never enough when it comes.
Oh, of course, I mean, yeah. Okay, so I've made a lot of notes, and I wanna go through these kind of step by step. First question I have is, this time last year, we were, when I say we, I mean the town, we were trying to figure out what we were doing, and I just wanted to bring it up now so we don't wait till the last minute on checking to make sure the propane tanks are full before winter. Cause I think they didn't come until December, and we ran out, and there was no heat over at the fire department. You remember that? So if we can just make sure,
It's because I was switching companies last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
I thought it was
There's
a
no
switch.
issues.
I was gonna say, they were out here, what,
I don't know if they're on a
July or
schedule,
something?
did they come automatically, or do we have to call them, or?
Nope, it's all monitored remotely now.
Perfect.
They just come and fill it when it needs to be filled.
yeah, I was gonna say, it was like July, they were just out there to check everything, so.
That's awesome, okay,
Cause I was pulling in the moat, and I'm, what's that?
yeah, that's good, okay, well, then you don't have to worry about, cause you never know, so you end up being a warming center. They're, unfortunately, Indiana weather, they're predicting crazy stuff this year, so. We got the lights in the bathroom replaced to LED lights. The only thing we have left is when the original lights were installed, there were some drywall, we had to do some drywall patching where they had punched some holes to run their wiring, so we're gonna do the drywall patching and then we'll paint, in there. But if you haven't seen it, it's much, much brighter. You can
Oh,
actually
yes.
see what you're doing in there now. Yeah. You mentioned about the trunk or treat. Yes, that was wonderful. We had a really great turnout for that. I wanted to thank Jennifer and her husband for coming early to help decorate, and I called him Jack, but it's Chuck. Yeah, that was an inside joke, but anyway. But thank you for your help and all that good stuff.
You're welcome.
December 21st will be our Christmas event, so if you want to mark that on the calendars. I believe it's already on the calendar on the website, the 21st at 6 p.m., is that right? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 o'clock, so it'll be similar to the last couple years we've done, Christmas. Attorney, so Michael and I did meet with Mr. Morlock, and had a really good conversation with him. He actually is having surgery this week, but he said that, I provided the ordinances to him last week. He said he's going to review them. If there's any corrections or suggestions that he might have, he'll get back with us. But he's gonna have to provide a contract to the town, and all that good stuff. So I would assume that that'll be sent within the next week or so. So you guys will probably have that prior to this next month's meeting, to review and all that. One thing that I did learn from him, which was very interesting, he asked me if the police department was receiving lit money. We've never gotten anything. And
So what is lit?
it's the same money that the county gives to the town on behalf of like the fire department. So the fire department gets lit money.
Mm-hmm.
All emergency services, to include law enforcement, is supposed to get lit money from the county. We haven't gotten anything for 3 years. And so he was, really surprised. He said he was gonna investigate that. I did find out that, so this attorney also represents Louisville as well
Yes.
as Knightstown.
Yes.
So Knightstown, gets lots and lots and lots of lit money. And for 2025, Knightstown is getting $96,000 in lit money. Yeah. And they are and all that lit money goes to just the police department, and they can use that money for salaries, for equipment, whatever it is that they choose to do. He said that they are choosing to increase their officers' salaries. It's paid out to them at $8,000 a month for the entire 12 months. So they're getting $96,000 in lit money. So he's gonna look into why we've never gotten anything from the county.
So, you know for sure that we haven't got it from the county?
Yeah, we've never received that money.
Cause I didn't know, I never understood, it's been brought up before, and I didn't know if part of what as it was handed to me, everything that's allocated to the fire department, if part of that's supposed to be yours,
Maybe,
if that's just a board decision,
yeah, I don't.
or, I don't.
He did say that the fire department has their own, and then the police department has their own. So it would say, when you received it, who it's allocated to. So I would believe that everything that's been received up at this point has probably been legitimate for the fire department.
I'll have to look at it.
Yeah,
don't
I
recall
don't-
that it ever said.
And of course, that's out of my scope, I don't know.
Yeah, I've never been super clear on that, cause there's LIT and there's LOIT.
He said they're the same now.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah,
but I
he said they're the same, but each one is supposed to get their own. You know as much as I do at this point, he was just gonna look into it and investigate it.
The ordinances that you gave him, are those the ordinances, I'm assuming that the three of you guys have went through and picked out what did and didn't go?
Yeah, so after Jennifer had reviewed and all of that, then I went through and categorized and made sure that all of our, what's called Title 10, so anything that's related for the police department was correct and fit in there. So then I presented all of that to him for him to review, to compare that to other places that have ordinances, to make sure that everything that we're presenting is accurate. So,
Yeah, and there were some things in the ordinances which I did not include, such as like, if you own property here in Greensboro and you rent it out, that you have to pay so much, to do that. And if you open a business, you have to pay so much money, to get a permit. And, there was a lot of permits, and I didn't put those in.
Yeah, cause if you own a place and you decide you wanna rent it out, what right would we have to be able to tell you, okay, you can do that, but now you have to pay us because you're getting paid?
Yeah,
That's,
and you had to have a building inspector or designee, which would be the president, of the town, board, could also, do an inspection to make sure that it's, livable. Yeah.
I think you should do that with some of the houses before you mess with their big business.
hey, now I'm sitting right here.
Some of that may be addressed in
No.
that thing that Michael was supposed to research too, where we would be with the county for zoning and stuff, if
yeah,
that's something we eventually move forward to doing.
yeah, and the attorney did mention that he was going to work on the zoning type of thing and figure out more information from the county for us as well.
So zoning as in bringing us in more money?
No, since we don't have our own zoning, and can we utilize Henry County to help with zoning and planning? So if, let's say, John Smith wanted to come in and build a house, how do we regulate that? We don't have resources to do that.
Right.
So we need to rely on Henry County to provide us some help to say, are we doing it legitimately?
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, there's lots of hoops you gotta jump through, right? So can Henry County, we set something up with Henry County to help us with that zoning and planning and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then he was gonna reach out to the prosecutor's office to see if they are willing to handle our ordinances. Because we can write ordinances all day long, but if they don't wanna prosecute it, and there's no way to collect on it, so it's kind of up in the air. But the idea is he's hoping to be able to do what he needs to do, get it back to us timely, so we can present it to the public so they have time to review it, and hoping that everything would pass and go live by the first meeting, which would be January 6th of 2025. So it would give almost a month for the community to review everything.
And that's one reason I approached Greg to begin with. Not that there was anything wrong with the young man that we had before, but Greg's established.
Yeah, well, and the guy we had before, you know, he's kind of, that's not his forte.
Right,
But he
Greg's
was,
established.
but he was very inexpensive, and that's,
Mhm.
we didn't have anything at the time, and we didn't even really honestly utilize the other guy.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, Greg is kind of expensive though.
but that's
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but he's worth what you pay him. Because if there's something that he knows the walls, he knows what they can do, he knows what they can't do, and I've got this from people from Knightstown and Louisville. He will fight for the town over the county, because he thinks that the town, you know, he looks at it as the town is the heart of the counties. You know, if you don't have your little towns, then you don't have anything.
So does that mean that we would have him on retainer, like you give him so much, or is this per?
It would be per. I
Per
believe.
hour.
Yeah,
And I,
so he said he wouldn't come necessarily to the meetings unless we requested him, but he would be able to watch via Zoom and do it remotely. Either he or one of his colleagues in the office would be able to do so, and now we would be charged for their time, but there's no trip charge, because they're not driving here and stuff like that, so.
And he's got an assistant that's named Rhonda Cook, and that's who would probably be our primary.
That's what I was gonna ask, I think they
Yeah.
said before that.
And she's like.
$100 less.
Yeah, at
An
least
hour.
$100 less an hour.
Yeah, and he said he's 73 years old, and he doesn't know how much longer he's gonna be doing this himself. But he's prepping the other colleagues in the office to be able to take over his role or his position for when he decides to retire.
And his daughter.
So do we have a fee, like do we have a price of what this will cost?
Not sure,
Not yet.
other than when he gives the contract.
They gave us an estimate.
I was gonna say, they
Yeah,
gave us
while
an
back,
estimate.
I think
and
that's
I don't-
$200 an hour, I think is what his charge was, but then the other lady was
She's on
$100
cheaper,
less.
so, yeah.
It's in the minutes somewhere a few months back.
And I could be wrong on
So it's pretty comparable to most churches.
Yeah, he's not like,
Yeah, he's not.
Out of
exorbitant.
hand.
Yeah, not exorbitant,
you know,
but
and,
it depends on how much you need.
it basically, now he's Greenfield's attorney too.
Yeah.
Greenfield pays him. He does take it into consideration,
Well,
size.
they
size of the
need
town.
to work.
Yeah, they need to work, I mean, you know, like you said, he could probably just live off of Greenfield, but
He lives in Zionsville. He drives from Zionsville to Greenfield every day. I don't know, he just said he drives from Zionsville every day.
because he did live right up, just there on Apple Street. I took his car home several times.
Yeah.
He's got a nice Mercedes.
And he's driving a Jaguar now.
I know,
oh, wow.
It's an older Jaguar though, really, like 80s.
yeah,
He
that's
likes this,
nice.
he likes this stuff.
Did you guys ever get your 501c3 going?
No, so I called the IRS, the lady. Yeah, you know how that would go. And she said it can take up to 120 days before we get a response. So I check every day, you can go on there and you can type in, where's my application, and it'll give you an update. And yeah, so I'm waiting the 120 days, so, I think the 7th of this month, maybe might be the 120 day mark, full month, yeah, the 7th of this month should be the 120 day mark. Yeah, kinda weird. But, yeah, that's the IRS unfortunately. Yeah. I paid the fee, so you should at least hear something, yay, nay, or something, right? Okay, so I do have a question for Ellie. Are you having issues with your email? Because I got an email from you to my personal account with the September minutes. You sent me an email to my personal email.
I probably just clicked the wrong one when I hit 2, I would imagine,
Okay.
because I
Because
typically.
I was just asking, because if you have problems, let me know so I can reach out to whoever to tell them, hey, there's issues or whatever. Just because I wanna make sure it was established 3 years ago when we created the email accounts, that if we're acting on behalf of the town, even including me, we have to use our government email, and the attorney even verified that. We have to use our government email, can't use any other email when we're acting on behalf of the town. So the email that I got was the old email address that Michael and Leanne created a long time ago prior to having the government email
The
account.
Gmail.
Yes, the Gmail. So he said that, I wrote it, it says refrain from using any other email addresses. Because it's a policy thing. So, yeah,
Was
he
it a
says,
one-time deal, or is it something you get all the time?
what is it?
Is it just one time that it happened, or is it something you get all the time?
Yeah, just the one email that I received, and I was kind of taken back because I didn't know, I was like, what?
So what happened was, not that it really matters, I never even realized that I had access to that Gmail account until just a couple of months ago. And it was just pure silliness, because I got into it to look at the calendar all the time, and I just never connected the dots and looked and saw that the email was right there attached to it and that I could use that. And when I looked in it, I'm like, well, there's like all these messages in here that nobody was responding to because they were being sent to that, and I didn't know I was supposed to be checking it. So I cleared some of that up, and I've been playing with, I've been trying to use the Gov, but forward everything and back it up to the Gmail, just because the Gmail is easier to use. It has more storage capabilities. I keep running into on the .gov site that, oh, you're out of storage space, and I gotta go and choose and pick what to
Well, just
keep
let me
and
know
delete
then, because I
and
can put in a
stuff.
thing to increase the mailbox size,
Okay,
because I've had to do that for mine.
okay,
There's a mailbox quota, and once you get to a certain threshold, then you won't receive any emails, be able to send or whatever, because
Right.
it says, hey, wait a minute, you're too full,
right.
you have to clear out your trash or spam or whatever, and start deleting stuff, so
And I
if you need
really
it
like to
increased.
save like everything.
Yeah, so if you need it increased, I can send it.
Yeah, if you could just go ahead and do that, that would be great. But anyways, that's what led me to monkeying around with the Gmail one. As far as, I have sent stuff even from the .gov to your guys' personal emails and to Michael's. I get better responses from those than I do the .gov ones.
He currently has issues with this,
so-
so we're gonna fix it tonight.
Yeah, if you guys will respond to the town emails, I'm happy to use them. And I know you've had trouble with it and everything, and I know it's not something you're accustomed to looking at, and
No,
I can
that's-
text
that's
you
the-
and say, hey, I sent you an email, but,
That's really the only one I check. I don't, my other emails got so much junk from when I was young and stupid and went to everything and put my email in. Like the NRA sends me 4 a day,
yeah,
and, you know, I can't even get them deleted anymore. So if you don't send it to me on the town email, I will never know I got it.
okay,
That is something else, though. The email that we got from the for the water state testing, I could not read it. I couldn't get it to open up enough to let me read it. I couldn't enlarge it enough to let me read it. You got one too, I believe, right?
was that,
I think it had
Was-
something to do with a fluoride test.
was
We
it to
wouldn't
your
have a
.gov or to your personal?
.gov. And we wouldn't have a fluoride test because we don't have
Yeah.
fluoride. So, and that was,
And they sent it directly to you, or did I forward it to you?
well, you are on there to receive any email I get,
Okay,
you are supposed to receive it also.
so,
So, as far
I'm
as
not
that goes,
sure.
the one I got was from them, but you're supposed to,
Supposed
the
to
way
be
I've got it
both
set
of us.
up, yeah, that way,
It's in the group.
yeah, two people, you know, you're getting it
Okay.
and I'm getting it, so
Well,
we
that's
can
good to
keep
know, so
track.
I don't keep forwarding them to you.
Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't open it up and couldn't enlarge it enough to read it.
I'm trying to do it on your phone.
Yeah, and I can't get my .gov on my computer for some reason. And I'm not gonna do it down at work, cause that thing's a mess. So, I didn't know if you happened to see that, cause I've tried to reach out to them, and I'm at lunch with them, they're at lunch apparently, because
If I
nobody
did,
calls.
I don't remember. I've had a very busy month.
Yeah, out traveling the world, it's pretty tough down there, isn't it?
Is that where Michael's at, you guys know?
Yeah.
Is that what he's doing?
Yep.
No, 98% sure I'm going back next week. Anyways. You got anything else?
I think,
Go ahead.
no, I.
Oh.
I didn't think you were-
Okay, so I wanted to correct some information that was given last month. I did some little bit of research, and it actually benefits you, Ellie. So you had indicated that you had reached out to several people, State Board of Accounts as well as Henry County, about your term as clerk treasurer. You indicated that you would be clerk through 2027, which is incorrect. You're actually clerk through the end of 2028. So let me explain. The clerk treasurer term is always up for election on the same year as a presidential election. And that's why myself and then the fire chief 2 months ago had suggested that you go and register as a candidate, because Rayanne's term was from January of 2021 and it ends December 31st of this year. You don't automatically just take over, you have to be elected into that position. So Todd Hyde, who is the Republican chair of Henry County, and Alan McCrane, the Democratic chair, they didn't understand, neither one of them have ever even heard of you. So they were asking me, well, who's endorsing her? Because you didn't register as a candidate. So here's the issue that we run into. Hopefully, nobody is going to come forward and take an interest in the clerk's position, okay? Because you didn't register to be voted into this new position, because you're going to start, your term starts actually January 1st of 2025 and will run through December 31st of 2028. So it's for 4 years starting this coming. So you're actually supposed to be quote unquote elected into the clerk's position tomorrow. But probably nobody else would have registered as a candidate for that position.
They
So
would have
you're-
had to register by like June of this year, would they not have?
Something like
Yeah. Yeah.
So if nobody's registered,
Well, so here's what happens. So they said if someone wants to contest the position of the clerk, if somebody comes forward now because there hasn't been a true election, then the town has to hold a special election. So we're only going off of and hoping that nobody wants to come forward and take interest in the clerk's position. And if they don't, then she will continue as clerk, but it will be from January 1st of 2025 through December 31st of 2028. So in November of 28, next presidential election, that clerk's position comes up again. Does that make sense? So you said 2027, it's actually 2028, it extends another year. Does that make sense?
It does,
if somebody wants
Why-
to go, I bet you're about to the point where you're like.
Why is that, I'm sorry, why is that an issue for you? Why are you looking into it? Wouldn't that be a town board member to do it?
Because it was brought up at a board,
It was
in
brought
a
up
meeting.
at a meeting.
But, I mean, I'm just saying, wouldn't that be for the town board to do, not for the police department? And we had a hard enough time getting someone to take the position, cause no one in town wanted it.
Just wants to make sure that it's right.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole
Bottom line
idea,
is-
because not only myself, but the fire chief.
Is there someone wanting to contest her being?
We don't know.
We don't know. Nobody's come
And
forward.
nobody's told us that they have.
But ultimately, the town wants to do it right. That's
Yeah.
why Jennifer registered as a candidate for the board.
I think for the first time ever, I think anybody has ever
Yeah.
registered, no one has ever done it that way here. And that's why I'm asking, for no other reason other than why would it be you, why wouldn't the board members be the ones looking into that? You see what I'm saying, like, why would? the
Because he
police
took the
department have to
initiative
do it?
and we didn't.
yeah.
So does.
If you want a straight answer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Make sure
so
we're
does
in
the board
compliance.
members have an issue, or does someone have an issue with it?
No, as long as we're doing it right.
Right,
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
That's all.
is
That's
Making
right.
sure that we are following all the right rules and doing all the right things, because
If you contact
ultimately,
the county, they tell everybody something different, every person that asks.
Yeah.
They don't know anything.
Yeah, I went up there to make sure that I was, and they said, oh, you don't have to.
right, but that's what I'm saying, like, I've never heard of any of the board members.
They told me I didn't have to because I took over
Registering.
for somebody else,
Right,
and I'm like, but,
yeah, you were filling, so what you're
I'm
doing,
filling
you're
a
filling in
vacancy.
your interim, you're filling in the remainder of what was left when they left.
which is
So
what
when
she did.
when
for
his
this part,
leaves,
yes.
Right, yeah.
so then, so when did,
Dawson,
yeah.
right, so when his
So
term
when
is
his
up,
term's up,
then he would be up for an election.
So
to-
then you
to
would have
start
to
a new-
register.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct, because he's the interim filling the
Mhm.
remainder of that term. So Ellie was filling in the remainder of Ray Ann's term through the end of 2024. She would be up for election tomorrow, and she would start a whole new 4 years for herself. So she was the interim clerk until she gets elected, but probably there's not gonna be anybody to go against her, so.
So then they could do
There
that for
again,
yours
they would have
too,
had to
right?
register.
Yeah,
I would have
if
been
somebody
notified when they
registers-
registered.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when we're up, all they have to do is register.
Not
right?
necessarily, because nobody was notified that when she registered.
Yeah, they were, I was notified.
You as the clerk, right, but nobody's gonna notify if somebody else registers.
You got somebody else you got in your mind who's gonna do it, you just let me know, and you just go ahead with it, if that's what you wanna do.
I mean, I just don't understand why everybody's, like, why is it now?
Because
Because
it's
it was
never
brought up 2
been,
months
it's
ago.
never been right,
Right. Why did it?
and I want it to be right.
I think it was
Well, with
actually
Michael.
the fire.
The fire chief is the one that brought it
Yeah,
up.
Ben actually brought it up.
We didn't.
He had mentioned and he had suggested that she go and register, because Jennifer had gone and registered as
Right.
well.
So is it not suggested for Jason to register or for?
He's not up for election.
I'm not up for election yet. And then because I went
Because you
to,
took over,
I took over Mike Dawson's
but
position.
was he in a
Yes.
elected position?
Correct,
Or did he register? He didn't register. So
I
wouldn't it
don't know.
kinda, like, you're just kinda piggybacking off of that?
He's the
I-
interim town board member filling for the remainder of Dawson's term.
When my time is served,
Uh-huh.
I have to register if I wanna refill the position. I have to go down, I can't just assume that it's gonna happen.
And I will tell you.
Which is what has happened forever around here, is everybody's just assumed and nobody cared.
Well, and then I will
Because no
tell you
one
that
else
the
wanted it,
attorney
right?
looked into that, and so by law, you guys wanted to change it to where it was staggered on the
Yes.
elections.
yes.
He said by law, on a 3-member board, 2 people are up for election at one time. You can't stagger. And so 1 person will stay, 2 people will be up for election.
And that's what kinda happened this year. Because Michael's the only one that really held over.
Yeah.
And you and I were both new,
Yeah.
so, I mean, who?
Yeah, you guys were talking about staggering it like every
Right.
other
Other
year type
years,
of thing, so
yes.
you wouldn't lose the whole board.
Right,
And he said by law, the way it works is 1 person stays, and then the other 2 would be up for election. So what happens is they fill their 4th term, right? Then that 1 person, he's up for election. His term is over.
so then, Jason and I would both have to go pre-register in,
Well,
4
but
years.
he's actually gonna have to register before that because your term just started,
yeah,
remember in January?
yeah.
So his term is gonna be different.
How long was
Why is
Mike,
his term
was,
His term would probably follow with Michael's.
Right now, everybody's the same until they change it.
Mm-mm.
I would,
He's
I
the
would,
interim.
I'm an interim, yeah, thank you, I guess that would. And they told me that up there, they said until Mike Dawson's term was done, that's when I would have to make sure I went in and registered to be
I thought
voted
his
in.
was done in the last year, and yours started.
Well,
in
they-
December.
Now, if I was
4 years.
sworn in, then,
Since he never had a real term, how can you end it?
that's the
You
problem.
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah, no, and
how
I,
are you not registered because his wasn't?
because he was elected, he was voted in by the board.
Right. Well, he just took up the position.
Dawson was?
And
No.
so Jason
Okay.
filled in when Dawson quit in June,
Right.
Yeah.
so
But since Dawson did not have a term,
he had a 4-year term.
But it was,
That he
wasn't,
didn't complete,
right?
so Jason's
I see
completing.
what you're asking. It
Because
was
he didn't
never,
register.
yeah, it was never set
Yeah.
up right
Yes.
the first place.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
that's what we're trying
Yeah.
to fix.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking, like, it wasn't established with him, how are you
Mhm.
continuing something that wasn't really established?
Yeah, basically,
So how
basically
yours-
what it
Fixing
is,
something that was broken.
yes, you're trying to make sure you cover all the bases that had never been covered.
Mhm.
You know, because
Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, if somebody else in the community wants to join the board, how fair is it to them that they can't get on if somebody just keeps rolling over?
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So it gives an opportunity for them to register and another person to register, and they have to get voted.
And that was what a lot of
Because if
small
it just
towns
keeps rolling
did.
and rolling
and
and
then 4
rolling.
years,
Correct.
so you're getting ready to basically start yours.
She's gonna start fresh, January
You've
1st.
you've already just completed almost your first year.
Right,
So then you guys have to register then for,
Yeah, she's got 3
25.
more years, and then,
mhm,
I don't know if it's 25 or
So-
26, I have to find out.
yeah.
Because they didn't tell me down there that
So,
day.
like I'm saying, the other 2 seats need to register
Mhm.
then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jen's term would end of 2027.
she started this year,
24.
yes, 2027, 12/31/27.
And so you don't know when Jason's ends?
No, I don't, they didn't tell me, they just told me, oh, you don't have to register, you're taking over, so you don't have to do it until his term's up.
That's what I'm saying, that's where my disconnect is.
Yeah,
I
and
can't
I-
make it make sense in my head.
So when
I
is
was just
Michael's
confused
term?
talking to the lady that was telling me this, as you are right now.
That's why I said the county doesn't know anything. You go up there and you ask them something, they don't know.
I called the State Board of Elections and got told totally different than what I was told at the county.
Yeah,
And I'm sitting here going, who's right, what do I do?
so then at this point, then basically, you and, Michael need to both register for the next.
Yes,
election.
that's what I'm going to go attempt to do.
Yeah.
If they allow me to do it, great, if not,
Well, they
I'll
should
go
have,
back to
and
next
they
year.
let her.
yeah, well, what I'm saying is I'll go back to next year and do it again. Because I think it has to be done by April.
So do we
15th.
know when Michael's term is up?
No, ma'am. I
But
can't.
we have to ask him whenever he's available as to when he came on to the board, we can figure it out. by then.
He's been on the board for a long time.
He
Right,
came
that's
on
what I'm
as-
saying, like, did he ever have? an
Understand,
actual
how do we
term?
not know? It's always 4-year terms. So if the clerk treasurer's is the, on a different year, then why wouldn't everybody else's be 2027?
Because,
Well, did he fill in, was he an interim for a period of time? We don't know that.
Well, he's been here more than 4 years.
yeah,
Yeah,
So even if he was an interim and nobody registered, nobody contested, then he automatically fills in.
but we,
Yeah,
see, we
right,
couldn't,
but now when I came on, that was asked, does anyone want to,
Correct.
did Jason or I want to be considered for, president?
But that's just decided between you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
then
you're elected to the board, and then you guys just decide who's gonna be president. That doesn't have any,
from the information
Actually, what-
that he just gave us, if it's 2 and 1, 2 and 1, on how that works, I would, and yours ends in at the end of 2027.
27.
I would say that we would both have to go register this
Fine.
2025,
Yeah.
because otherwise it doesn't
Right.
work out right. So we would have to go to be reelected or voted out, whichever, in 2025,
Right.
regardless, because now that we've got a baseline that we know how it would have to work, even though it was never done like that beforehand. we
And
probably
I
better
don't
do it.
understand what the baseline is.
The baseline is, we know she's 4
4-year
years.
term.
We know she's a 4-year term.
Because you gotta look at so what was explained to me is all the other towns around us, they do it right. We're the only ones that don't.
So
Everybody
then-
else is elected.
Then you two need to do it on 25, because you don't currently have an actual term.
The only
Right.
drawback though is if you do it So you would be elected in twenty-six, so there's gonna be a 1-year gap, which is accurate, because she will be done at the end of twenty-six.
Right.
Yeah, which, see, that's why I'm saying,
25.
we would have to go register in 25 to be in,
And then have your election, a town election, November of twenty-five, to start your new period, January 1 of 26.
yeah.
Is that is when it's supposed to be done, per the county? Is that what you're saying?
Per the state.
Per state
Per
voting
the
laws.
state,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm just using her as our starting baseline, because
Because
we,
she's the only one that's got
she's
the
the only
actual
one that's
term.
actually done it right.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You know, and I don't know any other way to figure than we've got her as our baseline, so we know where we're supposed to be. So this is what we have to do to get in, get in coordination of
And elections are every 2 years, that's when the election,
4 years.
4 years.
4 years, but I mean, we have a 4-year term, but elections are held
Every 2 years.
every
yes.
2 years,
Yeah,
so,
for a position,
right,
1 or 2 positions.
right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So 2025 would have to be,
So we
Register
think,
for the election, which would start over for you in twenty-six.
Yeah.
And then you would go for 4 years, so it would be January of twenty-six through the end
wait a minute,
of December of 2010.
him or her?
Him.
Okay. So,
so,
we think his term is through the end of 2026.
No.
I'm
He's
sorry, I'm
he's
not
gonna
doing
register,
it.
he's gonna register in 25, there's gonna be an election November of 25, a town election in November of next year. So a year from now, there will be an election, him and Michael will be up for election. Their term would start January 1 of 26, and would run through December 31st of 2010.
So we think both of their terms
Or,
end
2010, sorry, 2030.
in
2010,
next year.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
We think both of their terms end at the end of next
By
year.
what? Go using
Correct,
her as our
using
starting
her
baseline.
going
Right.
forward,
yeah,
correct.
And I think in my minimal brain capacity, I think that would be the best way
To establish.
to establish
Yeah.
it, so.
You gotta
we're
remember,
set
again, like
on
I
a
said
base.
before, that the problem is,
And the clerk treasurer is always a different year?
the clerk
then
treasurer always
there-
follows the presidential.
You're always presidential.
Okay, follows presidential. And then, okay. And you guys should follow the local municipal, but it should be
Staggered.
2 and 1. Okay, now
Correct.
I'm getting clear. I
It's
think I'm-
clear as mud, I
Clear as mud,
understand.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Chris, did you say the attorney gave you that info?
He told me about you can't have the staggered like they wanted. He told me that by state statute, 2 of the 3 are up for election at once. 1 stays, because you can't wipe out your entire board at the same time.
I think
You can't lose all
I
3.
think what it does is it seals the deal, so somebody can't come in and cause mayhem in this.
Right, which is why they were thinking about staggering it to begin with.
Yeah, that's why we were
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
trying to,
Yeah, it was 7.
because it made sense to us.
It was,
We didn't,
yeah.
we didn't, we didn't look
Liz's
into it far
point,
enough.
you know, just my personal opinion here, with all things, you know, I would love to see you guys taking more initiative to educate yourselves, cause that's kind of just, my pet peeve is that a lot of things seem to be just, well, this is just how we've always done it, this is
Yeah.
just how we've always done it, and there's no, is it really done the right way?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so some of the things that I try to push for. And, you know, we can only do as much as we can, and we're not gonna be perfect, and sometimes we do have to do things our own way in a little town, but we can try to follow, you know, the rules and the law as closely as possible. That's just my.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, and yes, I probably should have looked deeper into it, but I thought we had an answer that was okay.
Mhm.
From what I could find out,
And it's so easy to understand, you know.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, again, I think the biggest thing is it gives an opportunity for anybody in the community who wants to take that
Yeah.
position. They now have that opportunity.
Well,
to-
and I
to
don't
be-
think that anybody was, obviously keeping anybody from the community from doing it. They just, like like you said, it was just whoever they could find was stuck in
But-
there at the
but for-
moment that they could find somebody to do
But if
it.
somebody
But for
wanted
years,
to,
it
if
was
somebody
always
wanted
a
to
good
get on
old
the
boy
town
deal.
board and it just kept rolling,
Yeah,
they had
because
no
nobody
chance.
was ever interested, so it just
I mean,
stayed
for
the
years, it
same,
was always the good old boy thing.
you know?
Oh, he's on there, hey, you wanna be on the board, he's getting ready to leave, yeah, I'll get you on.
Right.
You know, that's how it was.
You gotta make it fair for everybody.
Yeah, and
I agree,
I,
but if you can't get the community involved, then that's how we end up in this situation.
Well, then if you have an
Yes.
election and all the same people get in, I mean,
Yeah,
you just do it the legitimate way.
yeah.
and I'll raise your taxes.
Yeah,
Gosh, don't
but
start
I
that.
remember when I moved here 30-some years ago, they used to get out and campaign for board jobs. I mean, it was popular
Last
back
year,
then.
I was told several times, hey, thanks for posting that about the snow plowing thing, because they usually just do whatever they wanna do and don't give anybody that opportunity to get on it.
Yeah, it's baby steps,
Did you post it?
you know.
I did, I haven't, like I said, I haven't had
Yeah,
any
you know.
responses, I don't know if anybody contacted Michael, or maybe put something in the little box out there, but.
I have a doctorate, but it's in tigerology. You need to know something about tires, I can fix you up. Government, I'm still learning as I go, you know, and I don't wanna do it wrong. I wanna represent our town the best I can.
Well,
I'll, you know,
here's the other
people
thing.
laugh that it's
We wanna
preached.
look that we wanna make sure that we somewhat know what's
Exactly.
going on or what we're talking about, because we have an attorney that knows what he's doing, who may be coming forth and asking questions. And if you say, well, I don't know,
Or that's what we
or that's the way we've always done it,
Yeah,
he may say, okay, well, you guys gotta change everything that you're doing in order to be in compliance. And so we've gotta,
yeah, we
Sort
need
of.
to get out of the Stone Age and kinda at least get up to the 17th century.
And if you ever want any growth in this town, you have to challenge old ways of thinking.
Yeah. Because there's so many people that are just happy with the way it is. And, you know,
A lot of people
that's
wanna
like the
make-
sidewalks.
a lot of people wanna make
People
change, and it can't happen if you don't get everybody on board.
right.
One other thing that's kind of popped into my head, and we probably need a piece of information when we get the budget, to see exactly what we've been approved for, but, decide on how we're gonna allocate funds to the police department for next year, as far as dispersing them all at once, or half now, half in July, or however we do that. Like I said, we probably need the information about how much we got approved for before we commit, before that decision can
And
be
find
made.
out about the lit thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be wonderful if we could take advantage of that.
How many officers do you have now?
20?
Took a
noticed those
picture on
numbers.
Halloween,
Oh,
the
yeah,
Halloween.
not
party.
everybody.
Not everybody's.
I'm not talking Katie on the number.
Some of them have kids that go trunk or treating somewhere else.
Yeah, some of them are working at full-time at the fire department.
No. I mean, can't say much about that, it's not like they were.
Do you have anything else?
I do not, I'm
Chris?
good.
Anybody else have anything else? We'll call this meeting adjourned to 8:01.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you a gavel.
Got one, it's hillbilly.
And thanks to Jack. You didn't hear it, so you